What is going on, everybody? Steve here with Raiken Profit, coming to you live with a live show with my main man, Ronnie, with Hearts Pickers on YouTube and one of the admins of the gigantic Facebook group, the Reseller Society. Is that right? The Reseller Society?
Yes, sir.
Awesome, awesome. So we got a jam-packed show for you guys today, and we're going to be talking about the realities of selling full-time on eBay. And I'm going to be 100% with you guys right now. You guys probably already know I'm not, actually I just started, but I haven't been selling full-time on eBay for a while now. So this is really going to be an interview geared towards learning from Ronnie, because he's been doing it for a while. He's been killing it. And he's really on a lot of cutting edge stuff when it comes to eBay and making money with eBay and all the different processes that go along with it. So with that being said, let's pass it over to Ronnie, man. You want to introduce yourself and say hello to everybody who's watching?
Yeah, Ronnie Hart, Hearts Pickers. Basically, we sell really probably 80% on eBay, another 20% on Amazon. Me and my wife do this full time, no other jobs, no other income. Been full time about 2 years, give or take. Been doing this about a little over 4 years. I think we created our channel right around 4 years ago. So, that's pretty cool, and it when we started making these videos, it was all about just showing, to look back at ourselves. I mean, I never thought it would turn into what it has. I remember getting 100 views on a video over a week. I thought that was pretty cool. Now it's, 1,000 in a day, and it's like, oh shit.
I remember when I was first getting started on eBay and selling clothing on eBay, there was like really nobody who was, making videos about selling clothing. There was no like big community out there like there is today. There was no reseller society. There was no like thrifting lounge and all these huge groups. I mean, when we first got started, man, it was a lot of just like fending for ourselves, like trying to figure out how it all worked. And I still specifically remember, I didn't know you at the time, but I stumbled across a video of some guy who was showing off all of these clothing items that he was picking up from the thrift store, and he was flipping through them all. And I'm like, man, this guy seems cool. Like, why doesn't he just turn the camera around so I could see who he is? And it was you, man. And it's you were finding all these crazy clothing items. I'm like, this guy is absolutely killing it. And we became friends actually not too long after. But yeah, man, it's a real privilege to have you on. And today we're going to be talking about the realities of selling on eBay. More specifically, we're going to be talking about Ronnie's story. So we're going to be talking a lot about clothing and the products that he picks up. So we're going to be talking about, how to find a niche if you're just getting started with eBay or you're looking to step up your game, how to find a niche, how to find the products that you want to source for eBay. We're going to talk about listing your items, prepping your items, photographing your items, and some of the nuances that really go along with, selling on eBay and the reality of going full time. So with that being said, Ronnie, let's take it back to when you first got started. You said you've been doing this for about 2 years full time, man. What were like some of your biggest challenges, man, when you were first getting started with your eBay business? Maybe your first couple months, if you don't mind bringing it back that far.
Yeah, I mean, when we started, we weren't really dealing with clothes. If we go back 4 years, it was kind of like a lot of electronics and all kinds of things. We did a lot more on Amazon, and then I got, kicked off Amazon, so I had to really focus on eBay. And then from there, I would literally take pictures at my desk. And if you ever go back and look at some of my older sales videos from like 3 years ago, you'll see my printers in the picture or boxes are in the picture. I mean, it just took a picture on a kitchen counter of a sneakers and was like, here it is. Or I made this little photo area because I was working 2 jobs when I was working probably between 60 and 80 hours a week. And there was almost a time where I just quit eBay altogether because it wasn't really making money. My first year over the summer, I was like $1,000, $1,200. I know 1 month I did $900, and then I blew the engine in my truck. So it was like, that's about $3,000. And back 4 years ago, I mean, I was working 2 jobs. My wife didn't work. And, it was kind of like money was tight, all the time. $3,000 chunk to get all of a sudden was a big nut. So I just said, okay, we'll get the truck fixed and I'll come up with that money, and just went. I mean, I remember rented a car, we went to Boston, picked up stuff and just got to work on what needed to be done. And within 2 months, if the truck didn't break, I don't know if I would have stayed doing eBay. That's just the funny part of it. I didn't see the potential in it. And when the truck broke, I needed to do it. And then within 3 months or 2 months, we did 3,000. I think it was 1 month. If that October, because that happened in late August, that October we did $3,000 in a month. And it was like, oh, wow, maybe there is something here. And then it just slowly built up after time, that it was like where you can go, okay, I can leave my job and, forget this.
So what do you think was like that? What gap did you bridge to go from like you're not making much money and like all of a sudden it clicked and you made 3,000? Like, talking about challenges, was it the challenge of cash flow or having enough money to build up your inventory? What really caused you from going from like disbelief to like all of a sudden like $3,000 and you're like, wow, like this actually works?
One of the biggest things, we changed our niche. I kind of was trying to figure out something else, because we were going out. I wasn't really finding electronics. A lot of other people were on to that. The Amazon game for us at that point was a little slower. We did a merchant fulfilled. It was kind of a little different. We were selling stuff, but we weren't really that big. And then I just started going through, like, I knew about some clothing, but you didn't know, like, everybody knew, oh, Tommy Bahama shirt or a Patagonia, and I think me and you, we knew about the same 10 brands, but outside of those 10 brands, we didn't have any idea what was going on till you find it. It was like, and then I me and you kind of studied the same way. I mean, there was, a year or two where we'd contact each other and show each other almost every day what we sold or what we picked up, or
we'd be looking at each other's sold listings, because I'd be shooting you a text like, dude, what is that brand you just sold for $100? And you'd message me like, what is that? Like, it was all so new.
Yeah, it was just, you studied the same way, kind of like look up dress shirts one day, and then another day look at casual shirts. And then you kind of got into a system where you find the same names over and over and over. But then you see some things will sell very well in a certain thing like a shirt, but it doesn't sell that well in a suit jacket, or vice versa. So it was just a learning experience. And then there's also the trends with clothing where something will be selling really hot and then it dies off, and then you kind of move on to something else. And you got to know when to move on from a brand, and kind of, in a way, or know your price points. I mean, because if you're buying something for $1, like a lot of these Goodwill, outlet people, they're buying something for $1. I mean, you can almost make a living on any brand at $1.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. Some of these people are getting items so cheap, and it's going to vary, right? You live in you're in Massachusetts, right? Or
yeah,
Massachusetts. You're in Massachusetts. I'm in Connecticut. For the people who are watching, and maybe you could touch on this, the prices are going to vary, right, in terms of what you could acquire the clothing for in different parts of the country.
I've been all over New England anyway. I went to Connecticut last year. We hung around. Some of your thrift stores, though, actually, like over there, the Goodwills especially, are extremely high priced. I was kind of shocked. And so in the Albany, New York area is the same way. When I go back to see my parents, I mean, it's like there's no shirt less than $8 in there, and it's kind of hard to make money. You almost have to go there and half off. Like, that's the only way you're going to be able to score anything. And your competition's probably so much higher in those days. There's certain thrift stores around here that I go to, and it is crazy that, it's the same kind of thing. There's a few savers around us that ask for an arm and a leg for what they got. So you got to kind of sometimes knowing to pass on something. It might be something that's even really good, but you have to pass because you can't spend that much on something. Or sometimes you just get lucky and you're at the right place at the right time. You know,
Yeah.
but
I
it's
know.
finding your niche depending on where you are. You know, like the Gilmans, for instance, when they were buying all their stuff and making all the money, they were getting it at the outlet. They were using it to their advantage. And it's just figuring out what you have a surplus in your area. Like Golden Finger Picker, when he moved from Indiana to Florida, it was a total different thing for him to learn all over again what sells and what to find in that area. And it can be done. I mean, you might not be able to emulate what we find here, because I think like you or me or other resellers in this area, we tend to find a little bit different stuff than other parts of the country.
Yeah, you're definitely right. In the colder climates, you're going to find a lot more of the the Pendletons and whatnot. And when I'm in Austin, Texas, meeting up with the guys over there for the green room and stuff, we're finding so many sporting types of stuff and just like active wear that you would just never find over here. But yeah, you really just got to roll with the punches in terms of where you are. Don't get discouraged if you can't find what Ronnie's finding, because you're going to have certain things in your area that you'll be able to find for really good profit as well. But moving forward, Ronnie, man, like over these last few years, obviously you have a YouTube channel and all, and you interact with probably thousands of people on a monthly basis through your Facebook group over at the Reseller Society and whatnot. What's the maybe one or two characteristics you see in people that differentiate the people who actually make it on eBay and the ones who quit or just never really get the hang of it? Is there like a certain type of person, or is it like a certain type of trait that you see in a person who succeeds on eBay and goes from making like, $500 to $1,000 a month to like, 5 to 10,000 or more?
I think a big part of it is people don't see the hard work that's put into this. They think it's easy. They think you take your pictures of your one item and you list it up and you're automatically going to sell it like extremely fast. So you're going to get top dollar for it. And clothing is a fickle thing where it does not. Me and you can have the same thing, and I could have double your price, and mine might sell. Yours might not, or vice versa. And it's really, really odd. Like there's no rhyme or reason for it. It's just the seller buys from a certain person. There's no way to explain it. But a lot of people, it's the work that they have to put into it. They overly just fall out of it. A lot of it has to do with space. Some people don't have the space for it, and they grow out of it pretty quickly. And another issue is people's pictures. It's just pictures are a big key, and people just can't get over the picture taking thing. I think you'll hear people talk about that over and over and over. Oh, my picture's good enough. And I mean, if you ever looked at some of my really pictures, they were shot in the back of a door with the sink and stuff sometimes. It was just really bad. But I figured out that, if my pictures would get any better, it wouldn't have to be me taking them. It was that, or I was going to hire somebody. And I told my wife that it was time for her to, she wanted to leave her job and be full-time with me, that would be her job, to help organize, because I'm not good with organization, and help me with pictures. Two things that I have flaws in. That's what I had her take care of, and there's her two strong points.
So I hear what you're saying. If you have some weaknesses or something you really don't enjoy with the business, if you can, right? And I know not everybody's going to have the ability to do this, but if you can, try to outsource some of the work that you don't enjoy. I remember when I was doing clothing, I mean, I didn't have the time, nor did I have the passion to take the pictures and to measure clothing. I used to hate doing that. So I guess if you can find somebody to do it, definitely do that. Let's dive into the meat and potatoes of this, and like kind of like jump into the entire process of doing like the eBay and running an eBay business. And obviously the first thing is sourcing and actually finding a niche. Do you suggest that somebody actually, like if they're just getting started and they're trying to like figure out how to get started selling on eBay, do you suggest that they go with like the shotgun approach and just go in there looking for anything and everything, clothing, puzzles, antiques, just trying to find their hands on anything and just looking up the sold listings, or really trying to nail down like a niche like clothing or something like that?
I went in looking for everything and everything, and I think it would have been better if I zeroed in on a certain specific area. Like, still look over the whole thrift store, but maybe focus in on a specific niche and learn about it. We all have a niche that we're good at, or something that we're passionate about, or something we know a great deal about, and it can be, anything. And usually that's where you can start, because that's what you're going to enjoy, and then move into other areas. And then also from there, you get to see what's around you, and go from there, because it's all about what you have in your area. You can't say I'm going to sell clothing and be, in the, if I live with my parents, there's 2 thrift stores within 60 miles. Probably that would not be, it would be extremely hard. But you have more Walmarts in a 60-mile radius than you do thrift stores. So, sometimes it's not even the platform. You have to figure out what's in your area and what can work best for you.
That's the challenge I had when I was just starting off. I don't remember the exact numbers. I don't know how many items I was selling, but I was doing probably around like $1,000 a month. And I was working over at the Cracker Barrel and some restaurants, and I hated my job and I wanted to quit. And I knew that if I wanted to go full time, I would have to be able to find, X amount of products, because I knew if I found this many products and I averaged this much profit per product, I could make that much money to be able to quit, which was like a couple $1,000s per month. And the reason I went with clothing, and it's probably the same thing with you, is because it's plentiful. Like, it's out there, at least where we live. Like, you can go out and you could find enough inventory to be able to make that money. And is that kind of the reason for you too, man? Because you were just able to find it and the money was there. Whereas, like you were saying, you couldn't find the electronics, you couldn't find the various items.
Every thrift store you go to is mainly made up of clothing. And even more so, there's 2 to 3 times more women's clothing than men's. I've dealt with women's clothing. We still list a lot of it, but I tend to focus on men's clothing because that's what I know best. We'll poke our head in the women's stuff, but most of the time it's dealing with the women's, the women's stuff for the most part. I mean, dealing with the men's stuff for the most part.
Yeah. I never really got into the women's stuff. I know you were messing with it a little bit. You used to come up, I remember looking at your sold listings. You used to sell this one brand, St. John. And it was like these, I don't know what it was, but it would sell for like these ridiculous prices. Could you tell the people watching that item to look out for, if you're willing to share it? If not, I understand.
No, I made a video talking about that brand in depth not too long ago, within the last few weeks. And St. John is a woman's clothing, not to be considered with that J.C. Penney's and John's Bay, not that brand.
There's a big difference
St.
between
John,
the two.
And it's made in USA. Some of the newer pieces are made in China. They have certain different levels, like couture and evening wear and stuff like that. And the fame is off this like Santana knit, which is like a woolen, I think it's nylon mixture. And it sells for extremely good money. What do you call it? Retail wise, it's well over $1,000 for a dress or for a blazer. And you do. I mean, we find it here and there. I don't find it as much. I find it a lot more in estate sales, believe it or not. And thing is, a lot of estate sale companies have kind of figured out that that's a better brand. Estate sale companies are very good because women price the stuff. So of course, if it's women's clothing, it's going to be a little more expensive. Mm-hmm. As the men's clothes, they're not going to price as high. I mean, I've scored Brioni blazers at estate sales for $4 because they don't have any idea what it is. It's not women's clothing. They don't buy it. So it's a very extremely high-end women's brand. Doesn't bring as much as it used to a few years ago, but if you find the right pieces, the right colors, they can still get good money.
Okay, good tips right there. So before I was talking about like when I was trying to transition to full time, I was trying to find like X amount of items, or I was trying to list X amount of items. I don't remember what it was, but do you kind of have like a set goal when you go out, Ronnie, nowadays, in terms of like? And I know you're doing Amazon now, so maybe your income streams are a little more balanced out. But are you going out with a goal, or do you like have a goal for yourself in terms of like the weeks or months? Like I want to find this many items, or is it kind of laid back now that you've got? I don't know how many items you have in your inventory. I'm assuming maybe 1,000 or something. I have no clue. I have no clue how many items you have in your inventory anymore. It's been so long. But what's your take on that?
Right now we have approximately, it's close to 700. I've listed about 100 things in the last, I don't know, week or so, or pretty close to it. I went out and I've been out a lot. I've hit a lot of thrift stores while my wife's been away, and I've actually been photographing and putting stuff on, which is just, I'm realizing how much I really hate it.
You've been taking the pictures?
Yeah.
Hello, bathroom door.
No, we have a whole little setup and everything.
No, I know.
You know, but you know what? It just depends on when we go out, how often we go out, and I kind of list what I find. If I only find 20 things that week, that's all I'm listing. The next week I may go out and find 100 things. It just depends. You know, you never know what you're gonna find from a given week to week. You know, there's sometimes where I don't go out for 2 weeks other than just a few local stores. So it depends. We only have, like I said, 700. I think when we were in the warehouse, we had up to 1,000. But we just couldn't keep up with that number, just being the two of us. And we were selling approximately 20 to 25% per month.
Let me ask you a question, man. From 2 years back till today, like for example, like 2 years ago when you were outsourcing and stuff, if all of a sudden you were like you went to sleep and woke up 2 years later and you didn't even know that time changed, if you went into a thrift store, what would you notice a difference, or would you not know that 2 years went forward? I know I said that in a really weird way. Hopefully you're sticking along with me, but I think you know what I'm asking you. Like, if you were to just walk into a thrift store and you didn't know 2 years passed, is there any difference? Do you see competition, price change, not as much inventory? Is there not enough as much donations? Like,
the prices always go up. I mean, they never go down. Prices and everything always goes up. Or unless you're buying a new car or real estate, that's the only thing maybe you have to worry about losing value. Other than that, almost everything goes up. And the other is just, I don't know, maybe you see competition more, or being in these Facebook groups, you see a lot more people. I mean, I run into people all the time. There's a guy that I ran into, he's watched my channel for a few months. I ran into him the other day, and he caught me like kind of off guard. I didn't know what, I'm the most awkward person when someone sees me, because I never know what to say, and I was surprised. He even gave me a gift, so it was kind of something he had.
That's
he
awesome.
asked me a woman's thing. But you see, I mean, I never noticed book scanners before. And a few weeks ago, I seen one. I go, I haven't seen a book scanner in a long time. And then when I was out the other day, Easter, I went to a few Savers, and I seen a bunch of book scanners.
I see them every thrift store I go to. I see them almost 95% of the time. I see one.
I was just like, And you see other people. There's the people that walk around with the what do you call it thing, the iPads in their cart and stuff. They're looking stuff up. Or
I've never seen that before.
I've seen a few. There's like 2 years ago, when I was in a Quincy, Mass store, I ran into a guy that actually had your guide. And God. He had it printed out. And I talked to him a minute in line. Like, I didn't know how to start the conversation when you pass him in the aisle, but I just happened to be behind him in line. And I started yapping to him real quick. I was like, I see you had that folder. What's in the folder, And I actually had the thing printed out. And
man.
And
you do not want to see that when you're out thrifting.
I kind of just laughed at it because
That's
because he was going
hilarious.
through the same stuff as I was, and we both were leaving with different things. You know what I mean? And I don't even know if I mentioned to what I did. I was just yapping with him. It
Yeah.
wasn't in line too long, but it was kind of, you just see it. You see people out there. There's it's everywhere. It's just knowing. Not everybody knows everything, and you just never know. It's being at the right place at the right time. They reel that card out, and you're just there to get it at that time.
How's the market for these clothing items that you're putting up? Like, obviously you were saying before that the markets change, and certain brands are hot, and seasonality factor and all that stuff. But do you still notice the same demand for these higher end, flamingo effect clothing items
Yeah,
and stuff?
the higher end designer stuff, there's always going to be demand for it. I find a lot more the demand with like men's designer dress wear, the sport coats, the dress shirts. There's always a very good demand in those brands. It's the casual shirts that have kind of took a dip lately, and I don't know if it's just there's more availability.
Like, give an
People
example
find
of a
them more,
brand, maybe.
like brands that stay relevant are like Brioni or Chitin or Laurel Piana. The brand, not the things
I
made
see.
with the
Yep.
fabric, because they don't bring as much. But then you'll come across like brands that were hot and kind of died off, like Seven Diamonds, English Laundry, Territory Ahead, those kind of brands.
Fastenable.
Bugatti Umo.
Yeah. I love saying that name, Bugatti Umo.
Those brands used to actually bring decent money, and if you find them at the right price point, at the right size, or the right design, I still possibly pick one up. Like, I picked up a Bugatti Umo shirt that was new with tags not too long ago for like $4. I mean, it's new with tags. Like, I have to buy that. But if it was just without it, I probably wouldn't, because I've had one sit for 6 months to a year, and I lowered the price that they weren't popping, so it was like kind of like, okay, I got to stop picking up that brand.
Are you still taking pictures the same way? I remember you started taking pictures a certain way, and then I copied you, and everyone started copying you, where you had it like laying down at this angle with like the cuff like flipped over. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I've always tried doing different things. Like, we tilted the picture a little bit.
Yeah.
We put the cuff in front. I kind of took the cuff out, or unless it's like a flip cup, because it kind of took away from the picture, I thought, too much. We're always, and I don't know, I think you're trying to always reinvent something. You're always trying to twitch it a little bit to make it better. You're always doing something, because you don't want to be that seller that, and we all know them, they still think it's eBay 2001. And they're not understanding why they're not getting sales in 2014. Or, you're 2016. I can't even get the year right. They're still shipping stuff once a week. And, it's just like, there's certain sellers that just don't get it, and they don't realize that they need to change.
Yeah, that's a really valuable lesson. And I've noticed that with, various businesses that I've run. You've got to change with the times. If you're stubborn, if you think that your way is better, and you just keep doing the same thing and over and over again, people are going to pass you by. But anyways, we've been talking about like finding a niche and sourcing and stuff. Before we move on to the next segment, which is going to be like listing the items, prepping and stuff. Real quick, what are your main ways of finding clothing items or eBay items? I know you talked about thrift stores. I know you mentioned estate sales. Is there anything else that you do to source?
There's yard sales. When they do start to come here, yard sales are a place where people get rid of stuff. Sometimes it's a little harder with yard sales, depending on, like over the summer, we were trying to buy a bunch of suits from a guy, but he wanted like $50 a piece. There were some Zegna and I think Amani. I don't remember exactly what the other brand was, but they wanted like 50, and it was a little too much. They were kind of older labels and everything, and I kind of had to pass. But then he had 2 Hermes dress shirts for $5, and it just, you never know what why they think one way or the other, but I picked up the shirts. I think we picked up a pair of pants, which we eventually donated because it was floored. We didn't realize at the time, but sometimes at yard sales you don't look over things properly either. That's another your rush, or even estate sales. I don't know how many times I've bought things where I didn't test the item properly because there's so many people. You're kind of in the moment, and then you just want to get out of there. And Craigslist is another great place to source stuff. And eBay even. I mean, I used to buy a lot of stuff on eBay. I still occasionally
bought something for me once, man. I remember that. And I shipped it out. I'm like, what the heck?
That we bought a shirt from you, if I remember right. It was Pearl Snap shirt for my father-in-law, and he said there was no way he wanted a specific shirt. He said for a thing, and he said there's no way. My wife's like showing him in the thing, and he was like, I didn't want that. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna list it.
Did you end up selling that for double?
It did sell for more.
Yeah,
I don't remember exactly.
I remember seeing that. I was like, man, that's freaking awesome, man. But yeah, man, that's really cool, man. I can't believe you found those Hermes items for $5. That's insane. I'm looking at the chat right now. We've got the feed. We've got 136 people watching live. So I just want to take a second to say thank you to everybody who's watching. I know a lot of the folks, I'm seeing a lot of names. A lot of the folks are from the Reseller Society. So I just want to shout them out as well. If you guys are looking for a cool Facebook group to join, that's free with a lot of smart people who have been in the business for a while. Go check it out. What do you just go to Facebook and type into Reseller Society, or do you have a domain?
No, that it should pop up right that way.
Okay, cool. Yeah,
we did have a. I don't remember.
Just go to Facebook and type into Reseller Society. It's free. There's 18,000 members now in there.
I don't even know that answer. I think it's like
there's a lot.
I don't know. I'm scared to go in there sometimes, man.
Yeah, we got a lot of people in the comments. Just want to shout some people out. We got Pinchin Pesos, Lance White, Body Comp, Mark, I believe it's Mark Knapp, Jim Bennett, Thrifty Treasures. What's going on? Chad Pagel in the house, Polish Shack. We got a lot of people. Andrew, Voodoo Clown. Thank you. Voodoo Cloud. Cody Orgel, man, good to see you. Australia in the house. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying this interview, little / chit chat with Ronnie, hit the like button. We definitely appreciate that. Lets us know that we're doing a good job and that this is helping you. Also, will let me know that you're interested in learning more about eBay, and I can keep bringing on people who are obviously way more, what's the word? They're actually killing it. They're killing it on eBay, and they're doing their thing, and they can help you. So I'll keep bringing people on if you like it. So hit the like button. But moving forward, let's talk about, you go to a location, whether it's an estate sale, a garage sale, wherever, you buy an item, you bring it back to your house or your warehouse or wherever you are. What's your next step? I'm assuming it's prep.
Yeah, I mean, mostly I'll overlook before we get it. I'll overlook everything for floors kind of before I take the tags off, just to make sure, because Savers will let you exchange things for 2 weeks. Salvation Army, I think you're shit out of luck. Goodwill is 2 weeks. So, 2 of the 3 thrift stores, we have a little bit of time, if we see something. And my thing is, we'll go through it. I'll check for floors first, and then I'll take the tags off, and then I'll kind of get them ready for my wife. I'll button them up and everything. She'll steam them and then take pictures. And it's kind of just getting ideas. Certain things I'm not 100% sure about, so I'll double check. Like I'll do a real quick pre-search, just to see what a specific item is selling. That way, when I'm listing it, I already have an idea of what I want for it, so I don't have to go and stop. Like, if I'm going through a bunch of things, I can just keep going because I already have an idea of what price I want, instead of stopping, researching, and then going to the next thing, stopping, researching, and going again. That way I just get in my groove and I can go and get stuff listed.
I know people used to always ask me this question, and I used to get some pretty intense comments. People would say, wait, you're not washing your clothing? So Ronnie, you're telling me you're not washing all your stuff?
Not everything.
No, I didn't either, man.
I mean, most of the stuff we get is fresh from the dry cleaners. I mean, almost all of them have dry cleaners tags on them. I don't try to buy anything that looks dirty. And if I do, you know, I'll wash something here and there, but we don't try to wash stuff as much, really, because it just takes away time and everything. You know, you're doing laundry, you're wasting time doing that. I know people that wash everything they get, and
Really?
it just seems like
Wow.
overwhelming for the numbers that I try to get up, you know, because I try to keep at least, we're selling 150, 200 things a month. I have to kind of then wash 150, 200 things, and that just seems like a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I had my times. I remember one time I found this. It was like a bathrobe, a Pendleton bathrobe. It was red. It was checkered. It was beautiful. It was going to sell for like $80, but I mean, it stunk. It was like literally like a skunk died inside of it. Like it was so bad. And I remember being at this specific thrift store. It was in Rocky Hill, Connecticut. I'm not sure if you've ever been there. And they have like this Sunday, everything's like a certain color is $1.50, and I got it for $1.50, and it like stunk so bad, so I couldn't really inspect it too well because it was so bad. I spent the time, brought it to the dry cleaner, got it done for like $15, and like I brought it back and inspecting it. It was like all ripped apart and torn apart, and I'm like, oh man, like I just wasted all this time. But yeah, you're right, man. It is time. So just know, guys, if you're gonna wash all your stuff, make sure it's worth your time. Make sure to value your time. So you prep the items, you get it all ready to roll, and then you get into obviously the photography and everything. Can we talk a little bit about maybe a beginner setup, a beginner photography setup, and like maybe a little more of an advanced setup once you kind of get past that beginner stage?
I think I have a beginner stage still with photography. Well, I mean, we have our light umbrellas. We have, I mean, for the longest time, we had a shower curtain from the dollar store. I mean, that was the backdrop. I mean, and I use my phone, my cell phone. It's a Samsung Galaxy S6. I mean, it's nothing. It's just it's a phone, and it works. But what I need, it's easy to handle. We have a Canon T3i, the thing with has that flip out.
Yeah, the
and
DSLR.
It gets heavy after a while trying to take photographs with that thing. You know, you're moving, and we've dropped that a few times. It still works.
Don't tell me that. That's my worst nightmare.
If you don't have it around you, and it's very, it's kind of bulky and everything. So, you know, it's very easy to use your phone, and it works. I think it works just as well. It's more for us anyway. I mean,
yeah.
I mean, if that's one part that I would even subcontract out even more would be pictures. There's somebody that's maybe a professional to do the pictures. Just, you know, my wife gets pregnant. That's it. That's done because I'll lose my employee.
Oh man, yeah. We used to use a DSLR for a while, but we switched over to just like a little Canon PowerShot point and shoot camera because it's just a lot easier. It's small. It's more convenient, man. And like you said, I mean, it was always my worst nightmare of dropping that DSLR camera. So I found, I don't know if you already mentioned this, but I found if you just have like a white background, like a white wall that's nice and clean, that works just as good. Like for me, like always having the backdrop was kind of like a pain in the butt.
Yeah. Now we have actually, I bought a vinyl backdrop off of eBay, and it's
oh really?
Yeah, a while back. Just to do something different. Like, you know, I'm just, you know, always trying to do something a little different, and you know, take pictures outside. There would be snow on the ground here 4 months a year.
Freezing your butt off outside, just trying to differentiate yourself. I tell you, photos are like probably the most important thing. Everybody after the show, go to eBay and type in like men's clothing. 90% of the pictures are just so bad. Like it's just thrown on the ground, all wrinkled up. I mean, like Ronnie was saying, man, you were selling your stuff back in the day when you had it against that bathroom door or whatever door it was. I mean, you were selling your stuff for ridiculous profits. And it's not like your pictures were even that good, but it was decent, right? Like,
it was just a combination, I think, of, just valuing my stuff. I was valuing my time and saying, okay, I have to get this. When I price something, it's kind of in that higher area, and that's where I want to be. That's where I like it to be. I value my time. I don't want to be, our average price per item last year was, I think, $57 per item.
It's beautiful.
And that's just where I want to be. Like, we don't have to sell 10 things to get to $300. We just have to sell 5 or 6 a day, and it just makes it so much easier, because to keep your inventory, you only have to buy 5 or 6 things a day, technically, to keep up, or a week that's, 40 things, 50 things, and that's it. You don't have to really, go crazy. I mean, if we had to take 100, 200 pictures a week and list, I'd burn out. I would literally just burn out. I couldn't do it.
And it's not just the listing. People don't think about this, but you list all these lower end items. You might sell like crazy, but man, it is very, very time consuming dealing with. The more inventory you have, you're going to have more questions. You're going to sell more items. Typically, you're going to have to ship more. You're going to have to deal with more returns. Typically, I mean, it's all time. And I think that's something that you're doing really, really well, focusing on that higher end product. And when I was selling on eBay, I was always trying to model you. I was always trying to get my bottom dollar up. I remember I was at like 14, and then I got to 17, then 25 and 30. And I'm like, man, this is really the way to go. I have a question for you, Ronnie. When you upload your pictures, are you messing with the settings at all? Like, how you could like edit the contrast and like the brightness and stuff like that. Are you messing with that at all? Or are you just uploading the picture?
I don't really. On a certain items, I'll maybe notice the color is a little off, and I'll try to correct it. But most of the time, they go up. I'll trim the photograph a little bit, or whatever it's called.
Yep.
But other than that, really, nothing. Other than that, it just takes too much time. And if the pictures are done right the first time, I just have to trim them, and that's about it. Just to clean them up a little bit.
We got a question from Cody Orgel, the Green Room member in the house. What's up, Cody from Australia? Asks, Ronnie, do you use buy it now or best offer?
I do buy it now. I've tried auctions in the past that didn't work, and I've tried adding best offer. The problem is I just don't get enough traffic doing best offer. And people a lot of the time will offer about 50% of what I have listed or lower. And, I didn't like it. And it's what works for you, what may work for someone else may not work for me, and vice versa. There's sellers on eBay that the only thing they do is auctions, but guess what? That's what works for them. Yeah. And they're happy with it, and so, it's what works for you, and try to figure out, from there and work on it.
Yeah, that's really good advice. Find your business model, find what works for you. You don't have to just copy what the next guy is doing. You can take something from the next guy, and then implement that, but try to find what works best for you. That's really good advice. This is going to be like a little rapid fire question. How do you transition from your photography to listing the item? For me, I used to always have, when I was doing it myself starting, and then when I trained my employee, when we had the little warehouse, we had a listing template. So when people were taking the pictures, when my buddy Vinny was taking the pictures, he would fill out the template, the brand, the size, the measurements, all that stuff. And then we would pass that off to the next person. When they list, they have that template with all the information. How do you transition from taking pictures to sitting down and listing it?
Basically, once we get everything in, like I said, we'll process it. I put it in groups of things. So my wife will first take a picture of like all the polo shirts, and then she'll maybe take a picture of all the casual shirts, and then the men's dress shirts, and then suit sport coats. So when she's done, I'll take the pictures, and when I'm starting to list, I kind of already have, like, I'll have a little template and just know that, okay, I'm listing shirts, and I'll just go through and list all the shirts right after each other, sell similar, finish, sell similar, and just change a few of the keywords, change the pictures, do the measurements, and then just go to the next thing. And I can get them done between probably 6 to 8 minutes if I'm focused. And just go. Sometimes I'll be in a hangout for a few hours, just shooting the shit with somebody trying to work, and I might get less done, or but it just depends on, in my mind, what I have to get done for that day. Like, if I have 8 hours to get 20 listings done, guess what? I can take my time with it. But if I know I have 3 hours to get 20 done, I'm gonna kind of bust my balls to get it done, and that's it. So I'm gonna turn everything off and just But the way I get most done is just kind of going through liked items. I don't do a polo shirt and a suit, then go to a hat and then list a pair of shoes. No, because it's gonna take too much time. I do all my shirts and then I'll get. I mean, the longest thing of this, when you get to the sport coats and the blazers, are suits. They take a little bit longer, just because you want to make sure you get everything right. With the listings, those listings I actually include more information than actually a regular listing for like a hat or a pair of shoes. I really don't include too much because it's basically all there. All the information you need is there. With a sport coat, there's a little bit more people want to know about, so I kind of will give more information and take more time on those listings. But I also get more money for those listings, so the time is more valuable.
Yep, that was the same for me. The suits always took longer to picture, longer for the description, more measurements. But it's important. It's definitely important because it is gonna make you more money, and it's a lot easier to get a return from a suit versus a hat, right, or a polo shirt. Moving on, we got a quick question from Jim Bennett, Emperor of Fun. I like that name. That's awesome. What brand, Ronnie, has sold the best for you in the last 30 days? If you don't know off the top, maybe give a brand that you do really well with.
Yeah, I mean, there's 2 brands that probably always sell because they're abundant and you can find them almost everywhere, and there's still within that brand, there's good stuff to pick up. It's Brooks Brothers and Ralph Lauren. I mean, you could almost find them at any store, but it depends on what price point you get into it. Once you get into the bigger, tall stuff, it's a little better, or they're specialized brands. Brooks Brothers and Ralph Lauren both have more specialized, higher end stuff than just the regular lines that do well and will sell fairly well. So it's just finding that stuff, and it's more abundant. I could say a Laura Pieta, but I don't find that every day. I'm lucky if I find one piece.
The other day, you sent me that picture.
I just happened to, see it, and I was just like, "Hey, check this out!"
Oh, man.
I was actually surprised when I found it because it's been a while since I found one. Like, whoa.
Right? Like, ooh, baby, what are you doing right there? Got a question for you that I think is going to help a lot of people out. If you can provide an answer, I know this is one of those questions where nobody really knows the answer. Do you do anything specifically with your listing that you feel helps rank you better in the search engine, or something that you do that you feel eBay is kind of like great job, like they rank you better, they show you more? Is there anything you do to be able to caress the algorithm?
Caress the algorithm. If that's Katie, she's just like any other woman. You just don't know which way she's thinking for the day. I mean, I don't know. I try to be a power seller, or a top rated seller. I mean, and on top of that, we're a power seller. We were actually a gold power seller, which is actually over $120,000 a year in sales. And I actually dropped down last month till silver, and we missed it by $186. I was talking with somebody. I was like, okay, we got to get that back now. I don't know. Wow. I don't know what other. You don't get any, I think, special perks with it or anything, but it's like, I want it back. I had it. I want it. But just have, eBay now wants you to have 30-day returns coming up. We've done that for a while, and to tell you the truth, it has not affected our business at all. I've not had anybody within a few days of getting their item make a return. People, I think, right off the bat know if something doesn't fit. And there's something I'm gonna do down the line. I'll make a big thing about it when I do, but some idea I'm coming about to maybe that it will help out with the returns and stuff like that. I don't do, people saying they don't do returns anymore. That's kind of done. And restocking fees. That's another thing that I think people get caught up doing. And I know when I'm buying and I see somebody with a restocking fee, I kind of, especially when they don't have measurements, because that drives me crazy. If you're doing free shipping, I could see maybe having a restocking fee because you're trying to get your money back for your shipping. But when you're charging shipping and you still have a restocking fee on there, I think it's kind of overdone. I mean, I understand you're trying to stop somebody, but the only thing they're going to do is open an item as not a subscribed case to get there. I mean, and it doesn't affect you as it did before, but it's still a pain in the butt. And you don't want to be fighting everybody. You don't want to be calling eBay. You don't want to be dealing with that headache. You want to make it easiest for your buyer to buy from you and return something if it's not needed. I mean, we run like 2.5% return. And I just had a Brioni sport coat come back the other day. It was $240. And it happens.
What was the reason?
When he bought it, he said, I'm not sure if the length of the sleeves are going to work. And I said, you know what? We have 30-day returns. Buy the jacket. If it works for you, if it works. If it doesn't, just return it to us. No problem. The only thing you're out is shipping. And you know what? He took me up on the offer. And he had to return it. Not a big deal. It's sold once. It will sell again. The thing was, do I tell him, no, you can't return it for that reason? Then I would never sell that jacket, and I would never know if it fit him. So, it is what it is. The only thing I was out was time packing it. I mean, I wasn't out no money in shipping. I probably made a few dollars in shipping because I charge shipping on everything for the most part. I got away from free shipping, and my sales have not been affected whatsoever.
I like how you approach that situation. That's really good customer service to be able to say that, listen, we have 30 days, no worries, try it out. That's really good advice, man. But at the end of the day, don't forget, Ronnie, if you get anything out of this hangout with me, just caress the algorithm, man. That's all you got to do. Just caress the algorithm.
I want to slap it around. I was looking at. It's funny because I have two cashmere sport coats, and I picked up a third one today from that same brand, Zegna. And I was kind of looking through the listings, and there was 100 and something, and it made no sense why the listings are almost the same, but one is ranked 7th and the one is ranked 60th. When you go through the listings, no rhyme or reason why.
That is weird.
It's just weird.
Do you think eBay's ever gonna follow Amazon's model and offer the sponsored ads? Like for example, with Amazon, if you have your own product, maybe if you private label it, or I don't know if they have other things, you could actually pay per click to get your item, at the top sponsored. Do you know if eBay has anything like that, or do you think they're ever going to have anything like that where you could actually pay extra money to get that thing ranked up to the first page, because there's so much competition?
Yeah, eBay tried something not too long ago, but it had to be a new item, and it had to be something you had more than one quantity of. And it would kind of be as you're looking for something, it'd be thrown in the middle. It was really weird. I think they did away with it because I haven't seen that in the searches lately. But I think Bonanza, you could pay an extra thing, and they're supposedly trying. I mean, I don't mess with Bonanza now in a year because I just didn't get the sales on it. But I think you can give them a higher percentage of your sales, and they'll market your item higher in Google. I don't know how it works, but I mean, I just don't see it happening. I could be wrong, but then everybody and their mother would just be paying the extra amount to get their stuff thrown in the top. It would make no sense to everything else that you have to do to have your item higher in the search or to stand out from somebody else. So I really don't see it.
Cool, man. So we obviously went through finding a niche, sourcing. We talked about going through my notes right now, prepping, photography, listing. We touched on a little bit of the customer service. Do you have any more tips for customer service? Obviously, you talked about taking the returns, not fighting them with the restocking fee. kind of being cool with them in terms of communications, kind of being open, like, listen, if this doesn't work, no worries. Like, is there any other tips you have for customer service? Because this is something I really struggled with when I first started off, because people were just pissing me off like crazy when I first got started. Just like, you know.
I think when we all start this, we all get pissed off with people. We all don't 100% know how to react. We want to think, and you see this in all the Facebook groups. I just got scammed. This person has one feedback, or this person wants to make a return. And it's like, slow your roll. Calm down. Take care of the situation. See why they want to return it. See what's wrong with it. Get the item back. eBay protects you a lot better than any other platform. I mean, I've gotten, I recall the item from Amazon that was just returned not too long ago, and it was an empty ink cartridge thrown it. They took the new one, and I didn't fight it because it was only like $18. It was like, why am I even gonna waste my time doing that? I wait for certain items to mess with, and other things, it's like, okay, I paid 25 cents for that item. Not a big deal. I'm out almost nothing. I don't care. But, you know, with the customer service thing, it's just trying to be there for your customer, making your customer feel good, buying from you. And there's certain things, there's certain times where you have to step up, and maybe you have to call out that buyer. I called out a buyer on a sewing machine. They bought it, and I opened the case with eBay. They dropped it after they got it, returned it to me, told me it wasn't working. I sent eBay pictures. I went through a whole list of things that you should do to make it work, and then Cherry Vintage sent me some information, which I already had basically a really good idea of how to do it. I've done it in the past. You know, it might have been 7-8 months, but I know how to fight a case if I need to. And I've never lost a case with eBay. And it's just going through the right channels, taking picture of the item, making sure you have clear pictures to begin with. Because if you're trying to fight something and that person on eBay is trying to figure out who's right or who's wrong, you better have pictures. It's like a replay in a football game. You better make sure they can overturn that, you know. And I won the case. I don't know if eBay took the money from her, but I didn't lose any money on it. I don't know if they just ate the costs. Sometimes you'll see that happen with them, where they just magically eat a cost. If I was a eBay stockholder, I'd be like, yo, you need to chill with that.
Cool, man. Cool. So we're running out of time, and I wanna hold to my word and keep this at around an hour. I'm sure you got stuff to do and your business to run. I'm not sure, you said what, your wife's gone, so you're just living it up right now?
You know, I've been listing like a crazy person. Like I said, hey, it's been like basically sleep sauceless, ship, just repeat.
That's awesome, man. Shipping, real quick, any quick tips for shipping that you can give the folks out there who maybe have never shipped an item on eBay, or someone out there who's looking to save a few bucks? Or, I mean, if you're selling hundreds of items per month, just saving a few pennies here and there could add up. Anything that really sticks out for somebody in shipping that saves you money?
Yeah, I mean, the biggest thing for us shipping, one thing was getting a LaserJet printer and printing our own labels from eBay, not going to the post office, because you'll save anywhere from 20 to 40%, sometimes 50% on your shipping, depending on where the item's going and certain things. If it's you tend to save more on the heavier items, I notice, and if they're going closer to you, you'll save a lot better than if someone's going to California. But you still save instead of going to the post office. But get a LaserJet. Don't get an inkjet, because you'll be filling up the cartridges like you wouldn't believe.
What do you use?
I have an HP LaserJet. It's a P1102, and it's a wireless.
I've heard about that one.
Yeah. Cheap. It's like $100. Sometimes Staples will have them a little cheaper. The toner you can get usually for around $50, and it lasts about a year. Another thing is, if you're not doing international sales, at least join the global shipping program. It helps you. People want to buy your stuff around the world. You know, there's some other thing, and also just have a bunch of boxes. Like we have about 12 12 boxes, different sizes, different regional A, regional B, flat rate, small, medium, large. And it's all about what fits in what box. With clothing, for the most part, we know, but there's certain items that every once in a while I have to have a larger box, like, certain jackets or non-clothing things that we need to have different boxes on hand just to save ourselves our shipping, and depending on where it's going. Because unfortunately, we never know where something's going to go, and where it's going to be cheaper or shipper. Yeah,
that is a great tip. Have a bunch of different. I remember I used to have the clear. It's not a poly bag. I forget. You put the piece of clothing in it and you kind of bundle it up into clear. What is it? It's not a poly. Is it a poly bag?
Poly mailer.
It was the poly bag was the clear one, and then the poly mailer was the one like
the bubble flat rate.
Yeah, have a bunch of different ones. Have the bubble, the boxes, the poly bags. I mean, the worst thing is when you have to ship an item out and you're like, all right, I'm going to ship it in the flat rate A or whatever, and you don't have it and you have to ship it like priority and you have to spend $5 extra. It's like, oh man, if I was only prepared. So that's a really good tip right there. But yeah, that's pretty much the process right there. We've gone through a lot of it. I'm going to ask you maybe 2 more questions, and if do you have maybe like 5 or 6 more minutes, and we could open up the floor for some Q&A?
Yeah, I'm good. Like I said, we have some time, no problem.
Awesome, cool. So my last questions kind of pertain to you. It's a little more personal. What are your goals, man? Like, what are your goals for like 2016 and beyond? I mean, you don't have to get super specific, but do like your e-commerce and your business goals. Are you trying to get in like to the car business? Are you trying to grow your eBay? Are you trying to like balance it with Amazon? Like what's your direction and all?
Every year we tend to move up in our sales. Like the first year was 38,000, second year was 53, I think. Third year was 109, and last year was 154. So it's always going in the direction of upwards. This year, I kind of told my wife that I wanted to do $250,000 in sales.
Mm-hmm.
We're a little behind where we want to be, but we always start out the gate slow. I think almost all resellers, you start off the year for whatever reason, slower sales in January. I haven't been messing with Amazon whatsoever. eBay is a big part of my business, always will be a big part of my business, but I do believe in having your eggs in different baskets. Not too many. I mean, those people that they tell me like they're selling stuff on Etsy, Bonanza, Poshmark, eBay, Amazon. I'm like, whoa, slow down. You're making my head spin. Like, if you have something that's desirable, it should sell on one platform, like eBay or Amazon. I don't think all these other, or Etsy for certain things also, and that get traffic, but Bonanza, I've never had luck with Bonanza. And I don't know enough about like Poshmark or Macaroni or whatever the other one is.
Macari?
That one. I don't know nothing about that one.
Macaroni, man, you're making me hungry. Cool, man. So let's see. Do I have any more questions? I'm all prepared. I got notes and everything. We're doing it legit, man. I tell you, if I don't have notes, this will be the worst. It'll be the worst broadcast ever because I'll just completely zone out. But yeah. Lastly, let's just talk about real quick. If people want to learn more about you, where can they find you?
Yeah, I mean, you can find me through my YouTube channel, Heart Pickers. We try to make videos fairly often. Since I moved back to the house, it's kind of been a little slower putting videos out. But I've also been doing a lot of other different things. I'll try to get videos out a little more often than I've been. You also catch me twice a week. We do a live show every Tuesday night, 9 o'clock Eastern time. We have a show on my channel, Pickers Church. It's me and Golden Finger Picker Chad Pagel.
Awesome.
And then Friday night we do a show on his channel with Craigslist Hunter, and that's the Resellers Pulse show. And I mean, sometimes we have a topic, sometimes we don't. Sometimes I don't think we've ever had your little list that you just had.
Did you print out the show notes?
You know, I glanced at them because I think once before I did something and I never looked at them. I had no idea what questions are. And I don't know, I wanted to be a little bit more prepared.
Sure,
you know, I
sure.
had the time. You know, and it's just, you know, you find me there on, you know, you find me on Instagram, Heart Pickers. I don't post as much as I should on there. I think it's fun. I just don't, I don't know. It's like pictures get deleted from my phone as fast as I take a picture of something, you know, for eBay. But I find such cool stuff that I should post on there. And there's like a community of people on there that they tag me and stuff all the time, and I think it's kind of cool. Like I don't recognize their names, but they're like, "Oh, I watched your video and see what I sold here," and I think it's kind of cool. Um, you know, no Snapchat. I'm not on MySpace. I'm, you
What did
know,
you call it?
Snapchat,
Oh, I thought you called it Snapchat.
whatever it may be. I'm not on there.
Macaroni.
You know, it's just, you know, it's, you know, this is basically what we do. I tried to do, what was it for a while?
Periscope.
Periscope. Oh, I tried to make a video one time and it wouldn't go in for me.
Yeah.
I follow people on there. I'll listen to people's videos here and there, but I don't even do that. I was actually surprised that, and I just realized this like a few weeks back. I was asking somebody what the deal with the hearts was.
Hearts Pickers, man. It's perfect
No,
for you, man.
Yeah.
Show some hearts for heart.
And the other thing was I didn't know the videos disappear like within
24 hours.
24 hours. Even it was kind of weird. I was like, oh.
There's so much, like there's so many social media platforms that are arising and everything. Like it's crazy to keep up with it. It really is. But follow them on YouTube for sure. That's probably the best place, in Facebook, Reseller Society and all. But yeah, let's open up the Q&A for a few minutes. Probably for like another 5 minutes. Answer some questions and whatnot. So if you have a question, drop it in the comment section right now, and I'll choose some questions to ask Ronnie. So it looks like we got a question from JBTYPR. I like that. You're going to get a trademark on that name. Have you ever considered hiring help to expedite the listing process and focus on another business? And what is the minimum amount of yearly profit that you would continue to sell online full-time for? Now, obviously, answer what you're comfortable with, but have you considered hiring help? I know you said you had your wife helping with some of the processes.
We will hire help eventually down the line. It doesn't really work with having it at our house, but once we get resituated here soon, we will probably look into hiring help, because that's the only, I could see getting to like $250,000, but without help, I'm not going to get too much ahead of that. And then I look at other sellers that are doing bigger numbers than that, like Dallas Moores and Craigslist Hunter. They have people working for them. I'm not going to be able to keep doing that before my wife starts to think I'm just driving her like a slave. And the other one was the maximum amount of profits. I would need to make a full-time living. I mean, where I'm comfortable, to where I can afford a house. I drive newer cars. I take a lot of vacations. I enjoy things. I'm not one to talk about budgeting. That's for sure. You'll never hear me talk about budgeting out of my mouth, because I don't understand what that is. You know, it's like money comes in, oh, I'm getting a car, or I collect vintage advertising signs. I mean, we have a whole, you know, it's just what I do. It's, you know, it's a trade. I can't, you know.
I literally just refreshed the feed about 30 seconds ago, and it was 73 likes and 6 dislikes. And I just refreshed it, and it's 73 likes and 46 dislikes, and they're flying up fast. Why is it always on certain videos with you guys? Somebody's always buying dislikes. I guarantee you at the end of this video, I'm going to have over 100 dislikes. What's the deal with that, man? Give us a little insider secret with how that works.
I was talking with someone the other day that somebody decided to give him a shitload of dislikes on one of his things. And I guess people somehow buy dislikes somewhere. And I think it's just very cheap or very petty to do that. You know, I just don't like it. You know, but it's happened. It's not happened to me myself, but shows I've run with other people, I've seen it happen, and I think that's just, you know, there's other ways to, you don't like the show, let it be known why you don't like the show. I think buying the dislikes is just very tasteless.
Yeah. So yeah, it is what it is. Keep on buying. I think you get them at Fiverr. Fiverr.com.
I've heard of Fiverr, but I don't think I've ever been there.
Yeah, it's a website where you can pretty much get anything done that you want. You could have a guy in Russia singing you a birthday song for your wife or whatever. Like, you could get the craziest things at Fiverr. So, anyways, what was another question? Let me see. Let's see. Coda Finger Picker says they love to give us dislikes. Hey, keep it coming right now. I like the attention, good or bad. I'm an attention. No, I can't say that word. Let's see. Do you have a motorcycle? Do you have a motorcycle, Ronnie?
No. I love four-wheelers. I love side-by-sides, but not too much of a two-wheel motorcycle person. My uncle lost his leg in an accident, so on a two-wheel bike. So I'm not a big fan. Man.
Yeah.
No, it's been 40 years ago now. It's the same year I was born, so, well, I'm not 40, but it's close.
Yeah, I never have the balls to get on a motorcycle. I don't know how people do it, because it's just like there's such a thin line between life and death when you're on a motorcycle.
I drive too fast in a car to let alone a motorcycle. I would be
nothing wrong with it if you do, but I don't. There was a question, Ronnie. Can you help people with how to track taxes and stuff? Are you using GoDaddy still? Are you using QuickBooks or whatever it's called?
I still use GoDaddy, which is, Outright, which is GoDaddy bookkeeping, and it's like $10 a month. Most of the time you can find a coupon code to get it even cheaper than that. And it's just so easy. You can put your Amazon to it, your eBay to it, your PayPal account, and you can track so much easier where all your money's going. You can add certain things, and I give it to my accountant at the end of the year, and she loves it. It's like so easy. Everything is where it needs to be.
Breaks it all down.
You know, if I gave her a thing of my receipts, she'd probably kill me. And probably there goes the price of my service to that person too, is going up.
One tip I have for everybody is to actually take a look at the tax return, because when your accountant goes to put in the information, they're going to be looking for certain things. They're going to be looking for the cost of goods. They're going to be looking for your expenses with office supplies. They're going to be looking for travel. They're going to be looking for these different expenses that fit into these specific categories. When you're looking on the actual tax return. Also, you're going to want to have estimated mileage and different things like that. So just take a look at the tax return in terms of what numbers they're inputting in the categories. So you could create your GoDaddy account to have certain things go in certain places and just have it really nice and organized. We were talking earlier, you're not doing the estimated sales for federal and for state. You're waiting till the end of the month.
Yeah.
Or the end of the year.
End of the year. At the end of the year. It's time. We've talked about it next year, possibly.
Yeah.
Doing it the other way as we get larger. I didn't think we were doing it. I don't know. It's just something. It's an added expense, but I think it will be needed to be done.
Yeah, obviously I'm not a tax professional, but I have learned quite a bit from my father who is a CPA. So obviously you guys want to make sure. People always ask me tax questions, and I'm like, you're going to listen to some random guy on YouTube about your taxes? Like, go to a CPA, go to an accountant. But in terms of the estimated sales tax, what you're going to want to do is go to your CPA or accountant, and you're going to estimate based on how much money you think you're going to make in the next year. And based on that income, they can give you an idea of what you would owe at the end of the year to the state and to your federal and to the federal government. And then you could break that down into quarterly payments. So whether that's $1,000 for the federal and then maybe like $100 for the state, every 3 months, you could pay it online or you could send it in. And I did the estimated sales tax and federal tax the first time this year. And I liked it because now at the end of the year, I'm not stuck with this huge bill. So if you have any issues with budgeting or balancing your books and stuff, you may want to look into talking to your CPA or your accountant about setting up an estimated sales and federal tax payment. Let's see if we get one more question in here. Let's see. I'm looking for a question. There's so many comments coming through. What's the best advice Ronnie would give someone wanting to sell clothes? I know that's a very general statement. Those are challenging, but if you have one word of wisdom, not a word, but one I don't know, recommendation or one tip of advice for somebody, man, and this is the only thing they could hear, man, what are you going to tell them, man?
Probably, it just depends. Like I said before, and I hit it. It just depends if that's available in your area, and if it is, you need to be patient with clothing. You kind of have to, you can't, I'll use you for instance. Me and you have 15 things. I have 600, and you're like, damn, he's selling everything, and I can't sell my one thing. But then again, I have, 600% more things than you listed. So it's going to be always a thing where people have to understand how many items you have versus somebody else's. You can't compare yourself to somebody else. To another thing people get always confused about and mixed up with. They're like, oh, this person sold this or that person sold this. I can't sell this. You just don't have no control over that. Just be patient, with, and just grow it at the pace that you need it to be. And it should start to move in an upward thing. And also always include your measurements. I don't know how many people I don't see add measurements to their listing. And I know a lot of people will say, well, the buyers don't pay attention. It's just good to have them there anyway. It protects you against item not as described cases and other items, other things.
Yeah, the buyers will definitely pay attention when it doesn't fit, and then they want to ship it back to you for a return. That's when they're paying attention. So include the measurements for sure. But yeah, Ronnie, thanks for coming on the show. It was a lot of fun, man. Hopefully people who are watching found some value, some gold nuggets. Maybe if you're new, you got a lot of information here. So if you're new and you're getting all this information, don't just keep watching videos. Don't keep listening to podcasts or just going into Facebook groups and just like gathering information. Take it and just get started. I know there's a lot of different steps to starting an eBay business or any business, finding the item, prepping it, listing it, figuring out how to, work the sold listings and all, just little things like that, and shipping and international. There's a million steps, but take this information and just get started, right? Go into the Reseller Society, watch a video like that's on that specific challenge that you're dealing with. And then when you conquer that, just move on to the next. Keep taking action. Don't just sit back passively. Because Ronnie, would you ever be able to be a full-time eBay seller if you just sat back passively and just listened and just watched and just never did anything? I mean, it's kind of, I'm just asking a stupid question, but.
Yeah, you kind of have to, just go out there and do it. And
do it.
It's that simple in a way. It's hard work. That's just what it comes down to. At one point or another, you gotta stop watching the videos and actually put what you learn into use. And also a lot of times what you might have learned 3 months ago in a haul video is not relevant today in a haul video. So always keep updated on everything too. Don't follow what somebody says in a haul video just because they sold that one item. They might have sold it at the highest price somebody's ever sold it at. And I know we all come to that thing where somebody will say, look what I got for this. And you're like, how the hell did they get that price? Always do the research yourself. Write it down, check it out, and just help yourself out. There has to be some self-research into things, and it helps you out in the case too.
That's right. So that's it, guys. If you can, hit the like button right now. Definitely would appreciate it. Let's see if we can get more likes than our number one hater who bought the dislikes on favor. Much love. I don't care if you're a hater or if you're an alligator or whatever you are. I'll spit some rhymes right now for you. But
oh no, please.
The green root. No, you remember that rap? And you sent me a message. You're like, dude, come on now. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. We appreciate it. Much respect. Hit the like button. Check out Ronnie over at Hearts Pickers on YouTube. Check out the Facebook group that they run over there, Reseller Society. And until next time, we will see you in the next video. See you guys later.